Friday Fitness on a Thursday. And this is the Thursday workout with commentary. This is going to be brutal and disorganized because this is my first time doing it. It will be better in the future. But what you're seeing here is the way I organize my workouts using my timer instead of counting reps. So that screen in the corner you can see says round 1 of 12. There's 50 seconds work and a 10 seconds rest interval. And that's going to go 12 times. And I'm going to alternate arms. So you see me work one arm for 50 seconds, have 10 seconds to switch, and then I'll hit the other side. So this did involve filming my timer alone in a room so that I could superimpose it into the corner here. This exercise you see me doing is essentially a lateral raise. It's essentially a cable lateral. I like to call it a sword draw raise because it's kind of like I'm pulling a sword out of a scabbard. And I do it so that I get more stretch. Like I'm getting as much stretch as possible on my delt by having it across my body like that. And so the tension is constant because of the cable, and the tension is high and strong at the most stretched the muscle can be. And you'll see me alternate so that I hit each side 3 times and then on to the next exercise, which I'll explain then. And you'll see me putting my hand on the muscle whenever I can to feel it move and feel the tension under there. That is just good for mind-muscle connection. It's good to visualize your muscles working. It's good to physically feel them internally and externally with your external hand. And the reason that I put a strap over my forearm rather than hold a cable is I don't want to engage my forearm flexors. I want to isolate my delts as much as I can so that I can feel them the most and channel the most work there, and not also be tiring out my forearm, feeling it in my wrist, feeling it in my grip and whatnot. And there's a trade-off with how mechanically advantaged and disadvantaged you want to be in an exercise. The longer lever of my entire arm with a cable down in my hand creates more of a disadvantage for no more benefit. So having a strap over my forearm like that gives me a mechanical advantage. It makes the exercise easier so that I can more safely use more weight. That's a much better trade-off than holding the rope. And I trust this is going to be so much worse for me to watch than for someone else. 1, because you can leave. And 2, because you're not me, and we're all much, much harder on ourselves. Even just seeing myself in the HUD of the camera, which is just sitting on a box fan. This was rough. I desperately should have gotten a shave and a haircut before doing this. I should have been fully clothed. This is how I normally work out. I'm just wearing sacks. I should have thought of the fact that I'm going to have to look at myself for an hour doing this. I absolutely have the beard of a crazy person. I look like a lunatic. Good delts though already. Especially where my tattoo is. That's a good looking shoulder. This is the stupidest commentary possible. Fuck me. You're also going to see me mouthing along to the music that I'm listening to in the room. So it's going to look like I'm talking to myself. Occasionally you will see me like strike a power pose. For copyright reasons, I'm not going to put it, I muted it so that it wouldn't sound bad and so that I could talk over it. And for copyright reasons, you can't know what I'm listening to. Well, you can, god damn it. You can know I'm listening to a lot of Electric Callboy and Wargasm because that's what I'm into right now. Okay, this is a maneuver I call the wrist over. And it's a modified thing that I learned when I was coming back from a bit of an elbow injury that most resembled climber's elbow. And the exercises that I learned for dealing with climber's elbow, I noticed were having a really good aesthetic effect on my bicep brachialis. You can see me holding my bicep, but actually my fingers are on the bicep brachialis, which is between your tricep and your bicep. And that's the muscle that's flexing if you rotate your forearm and don't move your shoulder. So you see my elbow isn't moving in and out, and my shoulders aren't flexing a ton. I'm really focused on rotating just my forearm. And that actually will blow up the aesthetics of your upper arm. Because you can have, I learned this, by the way, this like corresponds with something that I learned from Athlean-X. He was talking about, for the visuals of your arms, you can work your bicep brachialis and get more thickness to your arm, not just a larger bicep and tricep, which will get, depending on how you think of the axis, a bigger, better x-axis of god damn it, what the fuck am I trying to say? You get more distance from the peak of your bicep to the peak of your tricep. Think of that as the x-axis. But you can still have a very thin arm in terms of a z-axis. So to have more depth in your arm, you can work on your bicep brachialis. And I found that that's true, because coincidentally, when I was coming back from this elbow injury, the exercises I was doing were having a good hypertrophic stimuli on the bicep brachialis and making my arms look a lot thicker and filled out up there by the shoulder. And so I kept doing it. And I do these 3 times a week just so that I get enough volume in. And then also, a thing I wanted to talk about that I know I need to talk about, this device you see me holding. I used to do these with, at first, a weight on a strap so that the tension was constant. And then I realized that the lever was pretty important in this too. And so I switched to just using a pipe. And I was gonna make a mechanism where I could add weight to the end of a pipe so that I could progressively overload this. Then I happened to be at Value Village, one of my beloved thrift stores, because I go thrifting every week. And I saw this thing, and it's made from the same kind of pipes that I made a lot of my other fitness equipment with. Like the dip bar you saw me use prior is made out of this same type of pipe. So someone made this thing that has its swivel head on it. I saw it at a thrift store. I paid $10 for it, just out of love and respect for random crap made from plumbing equipment. And I've not yet been able to add weights to it, but it is the right size where I could put plates. I could put 2 5-pound plates on this thing. It would be immobile. Well, you can see already, one, I'm doing a suicide grip there just to make it harder so that I'm using my grip a lot and not just pivoting it on my thumb. And then a really eagle-eyed viewer could notice that I'm controlling the difficulty of the movement by moving my hand up and down the pipe. Sometimes you might see me inch my hand up to make it easier, or inch my hand down because it's too easy. You can really auto-regulate this movement perfectly, even mid-set. Yep, angry faces for angry music. And just staring out the window. Normally, I had to reverse every exercise that I do for this so I could put the camera by the window and be facing into the light. Normally I face the door because it's weird to have an open door behind you. And so yeah, my laptop is sitting in the window playing my YouTube mix, which is almost entirely Wargasm and Electric Callboy right now. Okay, then you're gonna see me set up for the next exercise, the next 12 movements. It's 4 movements, 3 sets of each movement. And the timer is set for 50 seconds work and a minute 10 seconds rest. So I just have to change a single thing on the timer. I like to start my workout with that quick alternating thing because you have a lot of energy at the start of your workout. You don't need to be resting. It feels kind of boring and tedious to have long rests at the start of a workout. So for the first third of the workout, I do quick alternating things. And then I get into things that are harder, for which it is better to have a minute and 10 rest. I have done this with shorter rest as well, but this is how I typically do it. So here I am doing some windmills, which I think are a really good full body movement. They teach your shoulder to move really well. They feel really good in your core. They feel good in your legs, especially if you don't cheat. There's a way that you can collapse one knee to make windmills a lot easier, but you are really robbing yourself of all of their benefits. Sorry that you are seeing so much of my junk. Also, I'm going to start in the rest period because now I have a minute and 10 seconds. I'm getting ready to set up the next exercises and things. You will see me over the course of this video even leave the room in the rest sections because I'm going to get my protein shake ready. There have been times that I've used rest periods to like do dishes for 50 seconds and then come back in. You don't have to sit around bored in the rest periods of your workout. And the worst thing you can do is sit around bored because it'll make the workout feel really long. And eventually you will pick up your phone and start scrolling and you've rested too long. And I use the timer so that I don't have to count reps. If you wanted to be lazy, just don't work out. If you are using a timer this way, lift heavy enough that it matters. You need to be approaching failure every set. It needs to be really, really difficult. It is better to fail at 40 seconds than make it all the way to 50 seconds and not be anywhere close to failure. So auto-regulate yourself sincerely. If you're doing a movement and you feel like, hell yeah, I could keep going for 20 more seconds, go up in weight. Because working out, like doing a set for more than 50 seconds is extremely boring, and most of your early reps are therefore wasted. If you're gonna do a bicep curl and your sets are 90 seconds long, the first 45 seconds of that are wasted time. And it's boring. Just lift harder for shorter. Now we're looking at nothing, because I have left the room and I'm getting my shake ready. And I have this down to such a habit that I know I can put the things in my shake, because my first shake of the day is a teaspoon of sugar, 5 milligrams of creatine, a scoop of whey protein, and a scoop of vegan protein. And then I don't have time to put water in it. So you'll see me leave the room next set. That's when I actually fill it and then come back. And since I'm talking, the reason that I have a whey protein and a vegan protein is I used to have only vegan protein, and I would focus on getting as wide an array of sources as possible. So I would choose a vegan protein that came from pea protein and hemp and pumpkin seed and as many different things as possible to get a full range of amino acids. But I watched a Renaissance periodization video talking about protein quality, and he really made a good point about whey and it being like the most beneficial, greatest thing that you should be having for protein. And I thought, I just remembered that a company that I love, North Coast from Australia, in their whey protein, they include lactase to increase the digestibility of that whey, because I just can't have a lot of dairy products, and whey protein can be hard on the digestibility even for people who are by and large lactose tolerant. So I found that the North Coast whey protein doesn't upset my digestion, because I used it for a week and tracked how my digestion felt on a scale of 1 to 3, and it didn't get worse. So it's fine. And then I just have also a vegan scoop in there for a wide array of vitamins and the fiber that you also get inherently in a vegan protein source. So a scoop of both. Also, since whey protein always has kind of a milky taste, a flavored vegan protein can go well with that. Right now I have a chocolate, but I also really love a cookies and cream protein, and if you mix them together, you really do get a delicious milkshake type flavor out of it. So I'm just windmilling away. I wasn't watching any of that time while I was talking about protein shakes. Doing this at 35 pounds. I've been at that weight for a long time. I know I can do 40 because I've windmilled my 40-pound kettlebell, but I couldn't do it reliably, and I was failing out of all 3 sets before the timer went off. So I found that 35 is a sustainable level for me. I should try it at 40 again sometime soon. I think this is also the time in the workout when I realized that by moving things around, I didn't know how I was going to arrange things for the final 2 movements of the day. And in that section of the workout, I've been trying new things anyways. So I am trying to come up with exactly how I'm going to end the day here. And I wind up being happy with what I choose, even if it's not what I do every single Thursday. Let's enjoy some silence. Listen to whatever music I've put in here after the fact. You know why it seems like I've run out of things to say? Because I've run out of things to say. I didn't think I would actually talk this much to begin with. I thought I was going to have to like dip in and out and there'd be lots of long silences, but I've found a bunch of things that I desire to explain because of how dumb this all looks and how strange this behavior seems when you put it under a microscope like this. Gotta have, when I coach people in the windmill, because I think it's one of the most important movements to learn, it's all about those sassy hips. Look at that little sass. Sass. That's the world-class commentary you're here for. So you can see the hip under my elevated arm kicks out, and it actually does go back a little bit. I'm not hinging, but I'm letting one hip go back, and it can be really beneficial to keep your eye on the weight. Now we're just looking at my butt. To keep your eye on the weight when you're doing a windmill, that will give you the right amount of rotation in your upper body. These are all things that I should have been saying while watching a windmill. Instead, I walked away and I was getting up a drink. What you're gonna see now is another move that thus far, actually, I'm sure other people do this. I call this the landmine atlas, because I love doing atlas swings with a kettlebell, which is a side-to-side movement. It has a lot of momentum in it. It really teaches you to pendulum. And I was just thinking about, I was planning an all landmine day for my clients because I thought it would be fun. And I thought this would be an interesting way to teach the atlas swing, because you can break it down into half of its motion. And then when I did it for some sets, I really felt it primarily in my shoulders, which is why it's on my pull day here, which is very shoulder focused and very upper back focused. But you can also really feel it in your obliques and in your glutes and in your legs. It's a great full body exercise, and it's so much more controlled and not isolated than an Atlas swing, but you can concentrate more than you can with an Atlas swing because of the landmine setup. So, in case anyone doesn't know, the landmine setup is one end of the barbell is sitting on the floor, and it's on a wadded up t-shirt so that it won't move too much. And then the weights are on my end, and you pick them up and manipulate that end. So you have some more stability, and it changes the line of force in certain things. A landmine setup is actually an awesome thing, and anyone who has access to a barbell should be doing some landmine stuff. What you're seeing me do right now is getting ready to go for my run after. I'm getting, again, use your rest time to set up the next thing that you're doing so your workout feels really smooth. I'm getting my run stuff together because even though I don't know it, actually wait, I did know it at this point. I'm gonna run 10 kilometers after I do this workout. So yeah, if you have access to a landmine rig, absolutely try landmine atlases or whatever else someone else might call these. I feel like I have actually seen people on Instagram do this or similar things to this. It is a rad full body exercise that's very focused in the shoulders. Your shoulders will be the thing that gets tired. And that's why I put it with windmills. Because windmills are a full body thing that are shoulder focused. And the two exercises just feel great together. And they can take up a block of 12 movements by having 3 on each side. Oh yeah, this is also me realizing that my phone was going to die, so I got to plug that in before I go for my run. Singing along to music. Absolute craziest hair and beard. Disgusting pirate madman. And then, thankfully, relatively flat stomach. Flattest it's been in my adult life. Not muffin topping too hard. And also when you have muscular obliques, that eases the visual look of having a muffin top. It's not just fat hanging over a waistband. It is a muscular oblique creating a shape there as well. I wish I could go into the screen and pull up my shorts a bit, but they are too low. I wish I was not looking at the screen. I wish I was playing the normal face game more, but also you can't play the normal face game for an entire hour-long workout. That's insane. And also it's fun. Like I'm listening to heavy music and whisper singing along and feeling like a badass. So yeah, this is what working out actually looks like. Thankfully, you don't have to film yourself and watch it every time you work out. People who do are sick. Sick people film all their workouts. And sick people film their workouts in public. You degenerate narcissist weirdos. Dead air, blank screen. And I'm back. Water bottle for my run. I think you can hear the ice clinking in my glass too, because it's right next to the phone on which I'm recording this commentary audio that I'm then going to have to pull into the laptop and into my free video software. I guess this is, what I'm doing right there, it looks terrible because it's behind the timer and it's on the floor. I have a little massage ball that I'm just rolling the soles of my feet because that feels good and nice, and going out for a run, it's nice to warm your feet up with a massage ball. Having spiky ball rollers and stick rollers and every kind of foam roller isn't just stupid fitness aesthetics, it's also deeply beneficial and fun and nice. I have different rollers in different rooms. There's always at least one in front of the TV. So if I'm watching TV and I just feel like a stick rolling my shoulders, I can. I also have a big electronic foot massager that my wife got me for Christmas. Nope, you can't see it there either. My barbell, because it was bought at Canadian Tire, is held together with pins that can slide out somewhat. So I always have a hammer in the workout space to hammer the pins back in when they start to work themselves out. I am a testament to how ghetto you can work out and see results and be a fitness person and make it a lifestyle. And here's something sincerely that I sincerely believe. If you take the money that a gym membership costs you and you invest it in yourself at the same rate, you will be way, way better off. Even if you can get a gym membership for $60 a month, go buy a kettlebell, get started, use just that one kettlebell for a month. The next month you've got $60 again. Get something else that costs $60 or less, or save it, and in a month or two get something more expensive. So our gym setup for sure has $500 worth of shit in it, and it was put together month by month over the years to now it's a big awesome setup. And each piece of equipment doesn't get as much use as it could because I have so many options. I have 4 kettlebells, I have an easy bar with 2 sizes of plates, I have a barbell with 3 sizes of plates, I have a pull-up bar, I have a ring set up, I've got that box behind me which my wife got at Winners and gave to me as a gift. Bought new. They're kind of expensive, but it's a box. You could make it. If you find one used, grab it. If you find one used, clean it thoroughly and use it. And if you find one at Winners or something like that, grab it. Always have a whiteboard in your workout space. It's the most important thing. The calendar you see behind me was for tracking clients' workouts before we moved away from my personal training clients. And it also tracked my runs and has my running schedule on it, and now it just has my running schedule on it. And you can also see some paint brushes and the back of a keyboard, because this space is also the creative space for the household. Off camera, there's a table with a sewing machine on it, and some various crafts that are in the works for my wife. This second bedroom is the everything space. So all the fitness stuff is kept against walls so that the center of the room is actually free, and people can move in and out of there to do their painting, sewing, what have you. And yeah, that's how to best use your fitness space. When I film another of these, I will utilize the pull-up bar. Or when I film one of these in a workout that utilizes the pull-up bar, you'll see how much space it takes up and how I managed to respect the space by having the feet come on and off. Because if you see those rings that are on one side of your screen, they are hanging off a pull-up bar that is against the wall. And then there's feet on that pull-up bar on one side, and then when I want to use it, I put feet on the other side so that it can freestand in the center of the room. And this is me just remembering that I switched my grip on this movement. So this movement is on my whiteboard as the RGTR, the rope grip T-bar row. And I started doing it just as a way of coming up with an upright row that most closely was the inverse of doing a dip. Because I love doing dips, and I think that like calisthenic style movements are really important. But you need to be able to do an exercise and the opposite of an exercise. Because if you're always, say, pushing in that one direction, that one plane of motion, you are open up to injuries if you are not also pulling something in that direction. And so coming up with the opposite of a dip led me to this, where a T-bar row, everyone knows the problem is you run into yourself. And so you'll see people like put a handle on a T-bar row so they can get a little more range of motion. But I will just take an entire rope so that I can not run the barbell into my genitals and get a full range of motion. You see me even like rehearsing the movement here and how it's not a drag curl, it's a shrug and a curl at the same time. It is pulling the rope as close and as high as possible as you can. You want to feel a stretch at the bottom, so my shoulders come forward and I feel a stretch in my neck, and then I retract everything to get as close as I can to feeling like I'm in the bottom of a dip without actually having to get my hands behind me. Because I haven't figured out a way to do exactly that yet. But this movement to me feels like it's the opposite of a dip as far as the neck and traps and shoulders are concerned. Because the top of this movement feels like the bottom of a dip. And vice versa. When you are at the peak of a dip and farthest away from the bars, you want your shoulders in front of you and you're kind of squeezing in. Yeah. That's me just listening to music. That's me having love handles and wandering around and getting kind of a flush response in my upper back. Those are the silly tattoos on my legs and the also silly tattoos on my upper body. The tattoos on my leg there were all done by my wife. And I was like, yeah, no one ever sees my legs anyways. You can learn to tattoo and you can work on the craft of it, because who cares? And we just do silly stuff. And it kind of occurred to me later that all of my tattoos are essentially quite silly, and they were chosen because they made me laugh rather than they're deeply meaningful. And choosing to switch the grip on this to a thumbs up rather than thumbs down grip. I think both grips are valid, and if you do this, you should play with both. The ability to keep your elbows more in with this grip and to do more of a curl, I think gets you a little something more out of it rather than flaring your elbows out like a typical upright row. Because you could just do upright rows. The benefit of the rope grip has to be different than doing it just free weight. And I don't have free weight upright rows in my, look at that belly. I don't have free weight upright rows in my plans anywhere because I don't think they do that much good. I don't think they serve a purpose. But I have done them with clients as a teaching mechanism. I've also used drag curls as a teaching mechanism because way more people than not shrug in every movement, whereas you actually don't want to shrug very often in very many movements. So back to this workout. You saw me take the plates off of the barbell, but then it's still sitting where it was. I'm going to do a thing that I call press away. I have my thumbs in, so my shoulders are internally rotated, and then I'm just pushing the barbell back as high as I can. There's somewhat of a shrug to it, but I'm not trying to emphasize that shrug. You can see my traps like flaring from this anyways. This is a movement. I often think about making a list of movements that seem deceptively easy. I've been doing this with an empty barbell for a year-ish and never comfortably gone up for 3 sets. This is an absolute killer. It's hard to, it doesn't isolate any specific muscles, but it will fry your upper back. So if you're looking for muscular definition in that area, like your lower traps, for example, you will give this a shot. You can absolutely fry yourself. And if you want to try it lying face down with some free weights, you absolutely can. That's another valid way to do it. But any kind of movement where you are internally rotated and pressing back behind you will give you a great upper back workout. And you can use it to get good definition up there. As well as just not neglect any area. Like if all of your exercises involve external rotation of the shoulder, you're going to get an injury in the things that work on internal rotation because they've been neglected. Right? For every push, you have to have a pull. And I truly believe that. And I deeply need a haircut and a shave. I look like an idiotic monster. Actually, I don't. I look like a normal guy who needs a shave and to comb his goddamn beard. And to wear my top knot a little bit higher in this exact instance. Yeah, I'm not being a baby here. These are actually quickly exhausting and tough. You can see my neck straining, see me breathing. Give these a try. for a set, especially using an Olympic barbell, my barbell is lighter than a barbell you will find at a gym, because mine is held together with pins and it came in a box. Part of it is hollow. It is lighter than a typical barbell. This is me thinking about my solution to the next movement. I do some tripod face pulls. Like I said, I still haven't figured out exactly what goes here as the last 2 slots on Thursday. Yep, rocking out. The last 2 slots on Thursday, because exercise order, I feel like, is a subjective emotional thing. Exercises that feel good together should go good together. And they should flow together so that you're not having to set up a ton of individual equipment for each thing. Like doing the Atlas swings, the T-bar row, and this all back to back are just a matter of maneuvering the barbell so they feel like they flow, and it's really easy to set up each one in the rest times and not have to think that one phase has ended and the next phase needs to begin. I didn't talk about it when it happened. The only reason that I turned around the barbell today between the Atlas swings and the rope grip T-bar was for the sake of the camera. Normally, I just turn around. But for the sake of always facing towards the light, I had to maneuver it this time. So yeah, now you're going to see me set up the box at a place that makes sense for the camera and do these single arm face pulls. Because I do like face pulls as an exercise, and with the cable substitutes that I have, I can mimic I can do a cable face pull, especially with my pull-up bar setup. But I also like doing things single arm so that I can really concentrate on the strengths and weaknesses of each arm and how they feel and how the movement should feel. So taking up these 2 slots today to do 3, this is just me playing with a bat in the rest time, also a valid use of your rest times. Sing songs, swing bats around, do what you gotta do, have a light switch rave. So yeah, this is the tripod version of a face pull. And I'm sure like everyone nowadays is familiar with the face pull as an exercise. I don't know its popularity. I feel like its popularity really rose, especially when Jeff Cavalier was talking about it all the time and he championed it. Then maybe it fell off again because how much can you really say about it? I think it's a great exercise, and specifically because in the last few months I felt like my left shoulder was kind of creeping towards being impinged from the way I was doing cable flies. I had to go down in weight in cable flies because of how my shoulder felt, and it started to creep into other exercises as well. And then I couldn't do any kind of fly, and then it was even bothering my bench press. And so looking at the movements meant to alleviate shoulder impingement, a lot of them are face pulls and face pull adjacent type movements. So I've looked for ways to reintroduce face pulls into the workout. And I can say, from the worst my shoulder felt, giving up flies for a couple of weeks so far, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks-ish. And then looking for rehab-style exercises. I once again feel like I avoided getting a real injury. I just had an injury coming on, but I never had a catastrophic injury where I feel like I was like wincing and hurt myself and had to like stop the day. I've never had to see a doctor or a physio about it. I just felt something creeping in, and I was able to take care of it before it got bad by adapting the workout to my body and its capabilities. So I'm proud of that. And you saw me go up in weight with this because it wasn't difficult enough the first time. And better to fail out of the movement at 40 or 45 seconds than be bored and able to keep going to 55 seconds. I really wonder how much noise is gonna leach into this vocal recording and how noisy this is gonna be and how much I'm gonna have to clean it up and stuff. And I don't have to say every thought that comes into my head, but I'm gonna. If need be, I can edit them out, yada yada yada. By the way, this is how you should feel at, like, during your workouts. You should be stoked. Like, I'm bopping along to the music, I'm flexing, I'm enjoying the songs, I feel like singing. I remember at this point in the workout, because it was hours ago from when I'm recording this voiceover. At this point in the workout, I was starting to get a little bit dreamy, starting to zone out a bit and be like startled by the timer and stuff. That's how you want to feel at the end of the workout. Because the endorphins, the adrenaline is starting to dip because you've been working for an hour. The endorphins are taking over and they want you to relax. So when you start to feel dreamy and in a good mood towards the end of a workout, start packing it in. Like, you don't need to ever work out for 3 hours unless there is like real money on the line and shit. Oh yeah, this is me just playing with my belly now because I knew how I was gonna feel having to look at it. So I was like, out, in, out, in. Now I'm laughing along with myself. And I start getting dressed for the run in this downtime. So I don't want to take any... If I relax too much between the workout and the run, then I might as well relax completely and eat something. And then maybe I'll end up not going for the run. If you cool down too much between things, you need to cool down entirely. If you cool down entirely, you may never do the second thing. Organizing running and lifting is forever a game of time massage. In the peak of the summer, when it's hottest, I will most often wake up and go for a run and then do the workout so that I'm not running in the brutalest heat of the day. But also, there are times when I will sleep a bit later because I have that luxury, and it's easier, actually, and this probably isn't true for every single person. It's easier to start working out than to go for a run, even though ultimately I love running more. and running is a part of my identity and a big thing that brings me joy in life. I've always asked myself the question, if I had to choose one over the other, I would have to choose running because it is better for my mental and emotional health. But getting out the door for a run is harder because it feels like you're biting off such a big chunk. You have to go out and do the thing. Your mind will start giving you excuses like, well, maybe you should eat. Maybe you don't feel good. Maybe you should do the laundry first. Maybe this, maybe that. Because it's a big block of time that you're so aware of. Whereas starting a workout, the worst thing you can do is think about the workout. My A1 tip, if you were going to start working out, is just get changed. Whatever your workout clothes are, put your workout clothes on and do your warm-up. Don't think, I need to get changed and do a warm-up and do my workout. Think, I need to get changed. That takes 2 seconds. Once you do it, you are taking on the persona of someone who's about to work out and everything. So don't ever, I've said this in every blog and everything I've ever written, talked about this. Don't hang out in workout wear. Don't ever put on your workout clothes for anything other than working out. They are not your hanging around the house because they're comfortable clothes. They're your workout clothes. Take 3 seconds, put your clothes on. Then you will think, yeah, I might as well take a few seconds to start moving and stretching and shaking it out. And then you're already in the zone. I gave myself a brilliant piece of advice when I was struggling a few weeks ago by saying you don't get started by getting in the mood, you get in the mood by getting started. And starting a workout is way easier because it's not a huge block of time. You just have to get changed, you do the warm-up, and then you're into the workout. And especially if you work out with a timer, it's really easy to just get started and let it flow from there. It doesn't feel like a huge commitment. If you need to listen to a podcast or watch a movie during your workout, that is okay. It's not preferable. I think you should listen to music and be really intellectually and emotionally invested in your body and in the workout and be present in the room. But if you're struggling to get the workout going, go ahead, put a fucking movie on. That's so much easier, especially when you run distances where it's like, okay, I need to get out the door and run 10 kilometers. So I'm going to be back in 40 minutes at minimum. If I tear myself to shreds, I'll be back in over an hour. If not, even just thinking about how what if I need to go to the bathroom can really sabotage your get out the door mechanism. And then once you're out the door, it's great. And I love it. I love running. I did not need to talk this much, and talking this much made me drink 2 double rum on the rocks. So, we got through this together, people. Then I'm gonna throw the belt on, and I have that. It's a buff that dangles from my hip when I'm running so that I can wipe the sweat out of my eyes. Okay. Peace out. This was horrible, but not that horrible.